Hey, welcome to Graphic Policy Television, GPTV. I'm Brett. It's a new week of comics, and in my hands is one of those releases. It's Star Wars Darth Vader #1, the latest volume featuring the Dark Lord of the Sith. And it's actually really good and very interesting start. Now, Marvel's generally been kicking a lot of butt when it comes to their Star Wars comics, and they've recently relaunched their main Star Wars series with a new volume, and that series is 2 issues in and is now focused on the Empire to Return of the Jedi time frame of the Star Wars history. And intelligently, this Darth Vader comic is the exact same thing. Well, the first issue of the new Star Wars comic was post-Empire and Luke losing his hand and falling and all that stuff, and kind of from Luke's perspective, and to follow up on a lot of that. This comic is Darth Vader's perspective. So what did Vader do after making his offer to Luke, and Luke deciding to jump to his possible death as opposed to joining his father? So that's what this comic covers, and it's really interesting and kind of cool in that you've got this dual story being told from 2 different perspectives, at least this time frame. So this is written by Greg Pak, art is by Raffaele Ienco, colorist is Neeraj, Menon, letters Joe Caramagna, whole bunch of different covers. So as I said, this is Darth Vader post-Empire of him almost killing his son, and his son saying no. And how did Vader react to that? Like, Luke obviously was is a little shaken up and lacks confidence, so normal Luke. Vader, on the other hand, is pissed and on a tale of revenge to basically jack up anyone that has trained Luke to be the wimp that he is. And that's kind of the gist of it, is he wants revenge on the people who raised Luke, and to kind of get over his son rejecting him. So it's kind of really interesting in that way. And the first issue is kind of going through the history. It's interesting in that it's actually a really good introduction for people who might not be too familiar with the Star Wars universe. You really kind of understand things from Darth Vader's perspective, and it takes you through that history. And then at the same time, you also get some perspective. So those who are familiar with Star Wars and fans might appreciate getting to see some things literally through Vader's eyes and view. And that's part of kind of what I like about this comic, is it's not just a story. You also literally see things from Vader's view at time, and kind of his being tortured, haunted, whatever word you want to use, of his past. So it's a really kind of a fascinating look at the Vader as a whole. Marvel has had some various Darth Vader comics that have come out. They all have explored the character and added, I think, a lot of depth to him that we might have not seen in the films. And I appreciate it. It doesn't completely, jack with him being a villain or anything like that, but it does deliver a bit more to him than we've seen before, and that little bit more, I think, makes the character even more interesting than just being like the Emperor's lackey, who also happens to be Luke Skywalker's father. So we can see here is what I was talking about is the literal from Vader's view. The things in red, a lot of use of the color red, which is interesting. I really kind of dig that. You can see more here. The red indicates it's kind of from Vader's perspective, and you get to see more. And then this would be the final page we're going to show off. Going from there. The art is good. Like, I really like the use of color. I think the color's fascinating, but the art's pretty solid. Like, all the Star Wars comics, the art is good. Things are recognizable. It's crisp. It looks good. The designs are recognizable. The characters are recognizable. Like, this is just, it's hard to describe with the Marvel Star Wars comic. There's all the comics, they're just very standard. Cookie cutter's not the quite right word, but there's just like a standard they all have. Generally, that they all have and meet really, really well. It's, to me, it kind of reminds me of Transformers comics, so that even though there's many different artists that have taken and they all have like slight differences in it, there's still generally a standard that kind of fits them all. So art-wise, it's good. just overall, like if you're a Star Wars fan, this is an interesting comic. I think as a companion series to the main Star Wars series, it's really good. And for those who might be interested in that villain that has a bit more depth than just running around killing people, this is doing some interesting stuff with that as well. The end is going to have people talking. I'm really fascinated to see where that goes. I expect it to be a fake out, but it's a really fascinating ending. So. I'm excited to read the second issue just because I want to see what the hell's going on as far as the end of this first one. So this one I recommend. I recommend it for Star Wars fans. I recommend it for fans, for people who want to read a comic about a villain with a bit more depth. It's out in comic shops soon and this week. You can go get it. Go hit up your local comic shop. We got a link beneath this video. Put in your zip code. It'll tell if a shop's near you. No shop, no problem. We do have affiliate links. There are affiliate links, so we get a small percentage of that. But really, you should go support your site, or your shop, I mean. And speaking of support, I want to thank Marvel for hooking us up with the review copy. We appreciate it, and thank you for watching. Now, if you're into Marvel, if you're into comics, you're into Star Wars, check us out every single day at graphicpolicy.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr, all at Graphic Policy, a whole bunch of sites, Graphic Policy. Nice and consistent. Till next time, keep reading those comics and keep it geeky. Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.